I am here for number 12, which is not a story problem, but I'm going to need that right there. So number 12 does not say that you cannot use the calculator, so if you want to, go ahead. I am going to work it for those of you who had asked to see how to do it. So we're going to put in the two factors, and we are looking for a product. We're multiplying. This tells me that we're going to have a 3-layer problem. We're going to have 3 partial products. And the first one will come from that 5. So I'm going to take this 5 and distribute it through to those top numbers. 5 times 3 is 15, carry 1. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. And 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. And I'm going to cross those off because I've used them. Then I'm going to line up under the 7, so you can add a 0 or just move over. And I'm going to multiply this 7 through. So 7 times 3 is 21. 7 5s are 35, plus 2 is 37. And 7 3s are 21, plus 3 is 24. And I'll cross those off because I've used them. And then I'm going to line up under the 9 and multiply it through. 9 3s are 27. 9 5s are 45, plus 2 is 47. 9 3s are 27, plus 4 is 31. And it will help you very much to talk your way through this if you're trying to do it the long way. And then you add those 3 partial products. So we have 5. You want to be careful that you keep it straight. 21. So 7 and 3, that's 10 and 4. That's 4, carry 1, 4 and 3. And then you count your decimal places. You have 2 there and 2 there, and that's your number of scoops. So 1, 2, 3, 4 scoops. So your decimal's going to sit right in there. Now they didn't tell me to round, but clearly they did round. So B as in Bravo is the answer we want, and I am going to check it on my calculator because I do not trust myself doing mental math. But I know some of you had asked to see how it works, and I wanted to show you that. So they have rounded to the hundredths place, and they got 34.42. And you would read that as 34 and 42 hundredths. All right, number 13 is a word problem, so I'm going to use roses, and I'm going to be very, very careful. It costs a painting contractor $2.37 per square foot to paint a wall. What will it cost to paint an 864.5 square foot wall? Round to the nearest cent. Now, if you know that you need to divide on this one, go ahead and do that. But this is what catches my eye. This tells me I'm dealing with a ratio. In other words, we know that we have $2.37 per square foot. So 1 square foot. That is a ratio. And that's going to help me. Because when I bring in my other number, remember I'm organizing, I have 864.5 square feet. And that goes on the square feet row. These have to be like units. And so I'm ready to solve this thing. And I am going to use a calculator. I'm going to multiply the 2 that I can. So I'm going to say 2.37 times 864.5 Don't round until you're finished. And that is a big ugly number, but that's okay. I'm multiplying those, and I got 2,048.865. And that's going to be divided by that 1, so that will not change anything. I'm not going to write that again. Yeah, I am, because I'm being lazy. Okay, and now we round to the nearest cent, which is going to be right here. So 2048.87. I like B as in Bravo. I'm sorry if you can hear the razor running out here. Please ignore the noise if you hear it. All right, number 14. They did not say I can't use a calculator, but I'm going to show you because I know some of you want to see this, and I want to give you the most I can in the video. If you want to put it in the calculator, put this number in first. You type it in exactly the way it appears. If you're going to do it longhand, that big number goes in the house, or the long number goes in the house. That's the divisor. The first number goes in the house. It's called not the divisor, the dividend. I need to slow down because I'm just going like a bull in a china shop here. The divisor is 0.05. So you have to be sure that you line this thing up the way it needs to be. The next thing you need to do is move the decimal in the divisor to the end. And I cross 2 places. Doesn't matter if you cross 20, you have to move it to the end. And then you're going to move these the same number. So 1, 2, and this is where your decimal will sit. So you move your places out of the divisor, and then you move the same number of places here and put your decimal. You may have to add zeros here. That's okay, but just move it the same number. You don't have a choice. And then you're ready to divide. So I'm going to start off with 5 into 8, and that can happen. Let me just do it this way. That's 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5, and subtract. Bring down one number. Don't bring down all those others. We're not ready for those yet. 5 into 39 goes 7 times. Keep it all lined up. I used to teach this with graph paper because I wanted my students to keep that in a straight line. That's very important. Draw arrows, and that will help you as well. Bring down this 4. 5 into 44 goes 8 times, and 8 5s are 40. Subtract. Bring down this 3. 5 into 43 goes 8 times, and 8 5s are 40. Subtract. And I'm going to need a little more space. And finally, we bring down this last number. 5 into 35 goes 7 times, and that comes out to 0. That terminates right there. So my answer, which by the way is called the quotient, is 1788.7. And there it is. Look at B. If you don't move the decimals, you will get B as your answer. So be very careful. I am going to check this because I don't trust myself, so I put it in exactly the way it's written. 89.435 divided by 0.05, and that is correct. Number 15, without using a calculator, determine the decimal equivalent of 13.9%. Now, what that literally means is this. This percent sign is this 100. So you could, in theory, if you wanted to, this is not the way I'm telling you to do it, but you could, if you forgot how to do it, you could do it like this. Add yourself a 0 and drop it down. That would be 3. Because you remember they said no calculator. Add yourself another 0 and you'll get it to terminate right here. This would be 9 with none left. Now, you can do that. But here's the way I would recommend that you do it. Take your 13.9, drop your percent sign, well, not annihilate it, just drop it, and move that decimal 2 places to the left. 0.139 is what you want, and you can put a leader 0 there. You could have put 1 right there. That is C as in Charlie. Now, being my dyslexic self, I could never remember which way to move when I was learning these. Do I move to the left or do I move to the right? So here's what I came up with. I think my daddy told me this because we both love to drink Dr. Pepper. So Daddy said, think of Dr. Pepper. Where you have D before P. You could also think of this as alphabetical order. D comes before P in the alphabet, which I had trouble remembering that too because I was dyslexic and it took me a long time to get that sequence down. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's just how I'm wired, and I'm not a bit ashamed of it. Don't you be either if that's how you're wired. So if you're going from D to P, you have to go this way. If you're going from P to D, you would have to go backwards. It's always 2 places. And in this world, D stands for decimal, and P stands for percent. So let's apply that to what we just did. They gave me 13.9%. So I'm going from percent back to decimal. I'm going this way in the problem, and I need to go 2 places. So I drop my percent sign, and I go this way in the problem. If you struggle to remember that order, that may help you. If you cannot remember the order, you can always do it as a long division problem. But most people, when they practice it, most students that I've worked with have learned to do it with moving the decimal. It just does take a lot of practice. All right, one thing about that, the calculator's not going to help you much. It would do this problem for you if you absolutely had to do it. But you're going to have to know what that means to even get it in the calculator. So that's one of those situations where the calculator's not going to help you much. Number 16, without using a calculator, convert 14.75 to its equivalent fraction expressed in lowest terms. Now be careful here. This is a harder problem than it looks. Let's read this. 14, the decimal point is the word and. 75, what? 2 places, hundredths. So we have a big old 14, and then we have 75 hundredths, and I'm going to choose A. Right? No, because A is not lowest terms. I can simplify that fraction by 25. 25 into 75 is 3, and 25 into 100 is 4. So 14 3/4 is what I'm looking for. But that's not one of the choices. 14 7/4 is, but that's not the same thing. So we have to convert this from a mixed number into an improper fraction. So we'll say 4 times 14, and they said no calculator. That's 56, and then I'll add that 3 to get 59, and I keep the 4 on the bottom. So 59/4 is actually what we're looking for. That one really would not have helped on the calculator, because I think this calculator will convert a decimal to a fraction, but I don't remember how. I remember it being such a pain that I never did it. So this is one of those that you really have to know your stuff, or this one's not going to work too well. In my opinion, this is one of the toughest ones in this whole review, but that's just me. Number 17. The arrow in figure RQ01 is pointing to blank. So we first of all have to figure out if this is metric or standard. And I can tell you by counting these squares. Not squares, these lines. If it's metric, you'll have 10 of them. If it's not 10, it's not metric. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Technically, we don't have 9. We only have 8 spaces. You don't count the lines. You count the space between the lines. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this ruler is not in tenths, it's in eighths. And it tells you right there if you can see it. This is a standard ruler. This is inches, I'm guessing. It is marked in eighths. It's an eighth of an inch scale. All right, so we're over here at 4, and there's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. This is 4 and 3/8. And that is A as in alpha. The arrow in figure RQ02 is pointing to blank. So I'm going to first of all figure out if I'm dealing with metric or standard. I'm guessing metric because it doesn't tell me the scale, but let's see. So we're counting spaces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a metric ruler. So I'm guessing we're looking at centimeters, and each of those little dots would be a millimeter. So we're at 5 and 5/10, which is the same as 5 and 1/2. And since it's metric, they're probably going to want you to use decimal because it's in tenths. So 5 and 5/10 centimeters, I'm guessing. But since I don't know, let's not guess. Let's say units. And up here we do know because it tells us that we're in 8 inches. And where is the answer set for these? It must be, here we go, 5.5 centimeters. Number 19. The red background around the number 32 in figure RQ03 identifies blank. And I will be honest with you, I had no idea because I am not a construction person. I do not know what that means, never really cared. So I had to ask our maintenance supervisor or building supervisor, and he told me that the answer is C. I'm going to leave it there because I cannot explain it. I do not know. I just know that he told me it's the marking for studs placed on 16-inch centers in a wall structure. So for the explanation on this, I'm going to refer you to someone who knows more than I. Ask your instructor. He or she can explain to you why this is C as in Charlie. Number 20 is a true-false question. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter, while a kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. This is a true statement. This is where those prefixes come in. If you know that centi means 1/100th and kilo means 1,000, you can answer this question. Number 20 is true. If you know about your King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, that will help you on this one. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure you're in class that day and our instructor will explain how King Henry works. To convert a measurement in centimeters to meters, move the decimal point blank. Well, here we go. I'm going to have to explain King Henry. So, if you can remember this sentence, my King Henry died, and actually I'm going to leave out my for this one. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And you're probably thinking this woman's nuts. And she is a little bit, but this works. I use these all the time. When I learned the planets, I had to remember a sentence. Another one is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That helps you remember the order of things. So the way this works, this is your base unit. And this can be a meter, if you're talking about distance, a gram, if you're talking about weight, or a liter if you're talking about liquid volume. I have experience in the medical world, so this one really helped me to remember these conversions. K in King stands for kilo. H, we're not going to talk about just now because that doesn't relate to this problem, but you will learn these in your class. D in this one stands for one thing. Here's centi. The C stands for centi. And I am going to show you this one because it's a very common one as well. That's milli. So this is saying to convert a measurement in centimeters. So we're sitting over here at centimeters, and we want to go back to the base, back to meters. So which direction am I going? I'm going this way. Okay. And how many places did I cross? I went from, let's count this one. We took this one and this one. So that's 2 places to the left. And that tells me that my answer is A, alpha. So King Henry will help you know if you're moving left or right, if you can remember what those letters stand for. Again, K, kilo, C, centi, M. Milli, and you will learn the others when you get to this in class. There's a chart in your book. I will tell you the page it's on if you want to know more about King Henry. Looks like it's on page 50 in your book. So you will learn all about those prefixes, and that will help you understand metrics quite well. All right, let me get back. I know I have to have notes on this one because I need to know your conversion. And I don't have your conversion. I know mine, so we'll have to use the one I know. Number 22. Convert. As soon as I see that word, I'm thinking of a ratio proportion problem. Convert 67 inches to centimeters. So I need to know the ratio that mixes inches and centimeters. And you have this in your notes in your core book. I do not have the core book with me. So I'm going to have to use the one that I've memorized. I know from dealing with medical stuff that 1 inch is equal to about 2.54 centimeters. Yours may be more precise, or it may not be as precise. I don't know, but in the medical world, this is the one I'm used to. And then we want to convert 67 inches. And here's the catch. You have to know where to put that 67. If you put it in the wrong place, it's over right here. You want all the inches in the same row. And then accordingly, you'll have your centimeters in the same row. So when we find this answer, we have this problem. So we want to draw a peanut, do a cross product right there. And it doesn't say I can't use a calculator, so I'm going to multiply what I call the peanut. So we have 2.57 times 67, and that is 172.19. Always divide by the number you haven't used yet. In this case, it's a 1, so nothing's going to change. And I am guessing that I have the wrong conversion because I'm looking for something that is not there. So let me check my answer key. I know this has to be right because I know that math conversion is right. I'm a-looking. Sorry. Got to find my key. I worked these and let your instructor check them first, so I will know if I'm right or not. Number 22, no, I'm not right. Did I type it in the calculator wrong? 2.54. Oh, I'm wrong in my notes. I multiplied by 64. Sorry about that. No. I typed it in the calculator wrong. 2.54 times. Oh, I know what I did. It was dyslexia. I flipped something right here. I know what I did. As soon as I typed it this time, I knew. I typed it in wrong. So this is 170.18. I'm using my problem-solving skills, though, with roses. See if it fits. And it doesn't fit. So that told me you have a problem somewhere in the workings. I like this one. C as in Charlie. And let me see. Yes, that is the correct answer. Sorry about that. Number 23. Oh boy. A pound of water weighs more than a kilogram of water. Is that true or false? Well, I know that 1 pound, and again, I'm going with the formulas that I've memorized, is approximately 0.45 kilograms. It's almost a half a kilogram. So in order to get a whole kilogram, I would have to have another one and another one. This would be over a kilogram. Let's add these up. Let me not even try that. 0.45 times 3 would be 1.35 kilograms. So to even get to the 1 whole kilogram, I would have to have 3 of these. So this is saying that a pound of water is bigger than a kilogram of water. And that's just not true. A pound of water is almost a half a kilogram. But if you go all the way to a whole kilogram, you're going to have more than a pound of water. So 1 pound is greater than 0.45 kilograms. That is not true. The opposite is true. What is actually true is that 1 pound is less than 1 kilogram. I hate questions like that. They really mess with my mind. All right, number 24, convert. And as soon as I see that, I'm thinking of this. It will work every time. As long as you know the relationship of ounces and grams. And I'm going with the one that I've learned. So your book may give you a slightly different one. It'll be close, but it may be rounded a little differently. I've learned that an ounce is about 28 1/3 grams. So 28.35 grams. And we want to convert 49 ounces. Again, make sure that your ounces are all on the same row and your grams are on the other side, on the bottom or the top. They have to stay together. And here comes the peanut, where you mix those two. 28.35 times 49. I'm cheating. I'm using my calculator. Actually, it's not cheating because they didn't say I couldn't. And it's ugly. It's 1389.15. Divide that by 1, or what number is still sitting there. It's not always a 1. So don't just forget this step. And that still will be the same answer. And that's D as in delta. So my ratio must have been okay for it to come out to be accurate. All right, number 25 wants us to convert 15 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. And I'm going to have to get a formula that will work for that. I know several. They all say the same thing, but they look a little different. So I'm going to use the one from your book. I'm a-looking. And it is on page 35. Oh, this is the one that's wrong. Okay. On page 35, if you want to turn back there, in fact, I would do that. There are extra practice problems on page 35. But the Celsius, Fahrenheit to Celsius formula is not right. And I have videos on this as well. Here's what the book says. That is not the right formula. Here's the problem. That's not correct. You need to change that to be this formula. Okay? that formula is actually not the one I need for this problem, but that formula is wrong. So I want you to fix that before you try to do those problems, or you will make a mistake. But while you're there, go ahead and get the Celsius formula, because we're looking for Celsius. So we want to know C equals 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. And you might be saying, how do I know which of these I need? You are looking for Celsius, so you want to have C out here. You could do it with this one, but it's going to involve some algebra. So I'm going to do it with this one, and here's how you would work it. We don't know Celsius. That's what we're trying to find. So I would say 5/9. Drop that F out of there, and then substitute the 15, because they tell me that Fahrenheit is 15. Then do parentheses first. 15 minus 32, type that in your calculator because it's going to be a negative number, is 17 negative. And I'm going to show you the keystrokes here. Let me draw some boxes, because I don't want you to get that all mixed up with your problem. Try that again. Well, I can't draw a square to save my life today. All right. After this one, I'm going to stop this video because it's getting very long, and it's horrible when I have to upload those great long videos. Okay, so these are calculator buttons. Oh my goodness. Let me delete that one. Try this. I use an app called GoodNotes, and they recently changed GoodNotes. So I'm still learning. I had it just down pat. During COVID, I taught math with GoodNotes, and then they up and changed it. So, okay. Put this in your calculator. First button is all clear. Again, this is for the Casio. So you would do 5 fraction 9. On your final exam, you will be able to use that calculator, so you need to know how to use it. Times, you have to tell it that you want it to multiply. 17 plus minus, and that key is right above the 7. And remember always, your last button on the Casio should be an equals. And let's see what we get. I think it's negative 9 something, but I'm not sure. So all clear. 5 ABC 9 times 17 negative equals negative 9 and 4/9. So the closest I can get there is going to be A. And I have no idea where the letter C went, but that should be C. The answer is A, as in alpha.